Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Ustaz. I'm your host Indra Sahip.
I'm Mubarak, Shah.
Welcome.
Welcome.
How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah. For those who are following our podcast, please do like and share our podcast. Right, we are uploading our podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and also on Spotify.
Yep.
And
If you want to buy us a drink,
yes, for those who appreciate our content, please do so. Show your appreciation by buying us a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/snmtv.
I enjoy the coffee first. Thank you guys.
So this coffee is paid by you. Thank you so much. Okay, with that, we would like to introduce our beloved Ustaz, Al-Fadhil Al-Mukarram, Ustaz Anwar Hussain. Ahlan wa sahlan, ya Ustaz.
Ahlan wa
ya
sahlan.
Ustaz.
Jazakumullah khair again for having me.
MashaAllah,
Hope
Ustaz.
all of you are fine, inshallah.
It's our pleasure to have you, Ustaz.
Yes.
Ya,
Jazakumullah
MashaAllah.
khair.
It's always it's always very like coming here is always
A blessing, bro.
look forward to come here.
Yeah, man. Man, besides the aircon, huh?
Besides the aircon,
Besides the aircon.
besides the aircon and the brick walls.
Mashallah. I think today we have a very interesting. We are going to continue from our past episode where we still talk about science and the hukum adi, right?
Hukum Adi.
How science is so relatable. How hukum adi is so relatable to science.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and-
actually science lah.
Yeah. So, that's how we refer and get our reference from, right? So, I think this episode we want to continue where we stopped
Yeah.
from.
Ustaz
hukum
said he
adi.
has so many things left to share.
I think there's more to share
Yeah.
from our first recording when we talk about hukum adi, right?
Yeah.
So I think to start off where we left, right? I think the last session we talk about the ruling of science, how it interacts, how it intertwine with hukum adi, and how it's so relatable to our belief in akidah, right? As a person who indulge in science, he himself have to have this core value of akidah, right?
Yeah, he has to know what is the Islamic position of science, and I think Ustaz we actually we dealt with it quite well the last time, you know. Most important for us is that we have the empirical studies, and then we gather knowledge empirically. But then like Ustaz was saying, this hukum adi is not fixed in that sense. That it can change, correct?
Yeah. When it comes to hukum al-adi and what we mentioned in our previous session, it is based on observation and repetition.
Yeah.
So something that occurs based on repetition and observation.
Yeah.
We give the hukum.
Yeah.
Or we give the ruling that this particular thing causes the effect of a particular thing.
Yeah.
So, for example, Al-Imam Sanusi in the upcoming examples, and he gave about the existence of food, and the existence of fullness. And meaning, when a person consume any food, and he becomes full.
Yeah.
He becomes full.
Yeah.
So, based on his experience and based on repetition, every time he's hungry, so he will consume any food, and he knows that when he consumes any food,
He will be full.
the hunger will go away. So this connection, this is what we meant by hukum al-adi. That the connection is based on repetition.
Yeah.
Is based on experience.
Yeah.
So Islam is saying that other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have efficacy. So Islam is saying that it is not the food that make you full.
Yeah. It is Allah who makes you full. That was what we were going through the whole last time. Yeah.
So it is not the asbab.
Yeah.
It is not the means that gives the efficacy.
Yeah.
It is not the fire that has the efficacy to burning. But what happens when I consume food and I become full? So Islam is telling us that it is not the means, it is not the asbab.
Yeah.
But upon any consumption, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in me fullness.
Yeah.
So the food is a means to that.
So we don't have, you mentioned also the last time was that we don't have a problem with how you explain the how. Doesn't matter how you explain the how. but it's just for you to remember that who created the how. You know, like there's so many.
Yeah, of course. That
Yes.
is the ultimate. That is the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, also we find, for example, in the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala speaks about the how. For example, in the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, He speaks about the formation of the womb, the child,
The fetus in the body,
the fetus in the womb, the stages.
Yeah.
Allah Subhanahu wa Taala speaks about rain, the formation of rain.
Yeah.
So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, He is the one who gave these characteristics to the means. And what is the reason? So that we can ponder upon the greatness of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
MashaAllah.
So Allah created night and day. For example, in the Quran, Allah said, "Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafil layli wan nahar la ayatin li ulil albab." So for those who possess any intelligence. So when we look at the creations of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and we understand the cause and effect, and we understand the means on how these are connected, and how we get to our observations and the conclusions. So we understand that all these are creations of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And the fact that the creations of Allah does not have efficacy. The one that gives the efficacy is Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
Yeah.
But if a person just look at the means itself, and becomes deluded to thinking that the means themselves has the ultimate efficacy, and that is a problem. That is a problem in Iman. So that is what we meant by when we speak about empirical laws, and we say empirical laws can change. Why? Because the one who created these laws is Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And since it is based by observation and repetition, that can change. If Allah Subhanahu wa Taala wants. If Allah wants.
There's something that people constantly ask. Does this science, let's say we talk about things that related to science, can the daily things or the universe operate by coincidence, Ustaz? Let's say when we mentioned when we discuss about when we eat food, we feel the fullness of our
We feel full,
full, right?
Yeah.
So is that happen by chance, or people always like to debate on this matter.
What is chance?
Yeah, especially going
I
back to
like this question.
Yeah, especially going back to what Big Bang Theory. They always said that, this universe happened by chance.
By chance. Yeah.
So I kind of like want and very curious to know how Islam approach on that matter.
Of chance. Are you talking about chance?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. We mentioned that it is impossible that you have any effect, in a sense that it is contingent and you do not have any originator. And then you say this is by chance. So maybe we give one example. This example is mentioned by Sheikh Sa'id al-Buti in his book Kubra al-Yakiniyat. There is a thing that our scholars in Tawheed they speak about Ad-Dalil al-Ra'iyya. Dalil al-Ra'iyya. An example will be Sheikh Buti, for example. He gave this example that if you have watch, and then you dismantle the watch, analog watch, you dismantle all the parts. After you have dismantled the parts, you fix it again. You fix it again. So once you fix the parts to its correct positions, the watch can function. So all these parts are invented in great detail, and all of these have their own functions. So when we look at the universe, we find that the universe function perfectly. Everything is created, everything is placed, everything has its own function.
Yeah.
So this itself shows that there is a designer behind it. There is a maker, there is an inventor, the one who designed, the one who brought it into existence.
Yeah.
So that is why in the Quran, when Allah told us the importance of pondering upon the creations of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, for example in Surah Al-Mulk, Allah said, "Do you see any shortcomings in the creations of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala?" All these points to Dalil al-Ra'iyya, meaning if you look at a particular creation that is in perfection, that is functioning perfectly, then surely there is the maker, the designer, the one who has specified the characteristics any of this creation. So all this any will lead us any to believing that there is any a creator, and that creator yani is all knowing, all willing, that he possesses knowledge, that he possesses wisdom, and he knows his creation, and he brought it into existence. That is a manifestation of his power. So basically, by looking at the universe, and how any the universe any function, that itself any is a proof that on any the existence any of the creator.
MashaAllah.
You know, there's one very interesting thing I've read recently from one of Shah Al-Qadir Sufi. He said about chance. He said chance is the inability of you to compute all the variables. So for example, like if you throw a dice or a roulette table again, like if you go to the gambling den, essentially there's no chance. There's no chance. If you could calculate
the
how
probability.
strong you throw the dice, at which angle, at which speed, and you could calculate how fast that guy turns that roulette table, and everything of it, you could calculate everything, you will know exactly where you will land. But because the human mind is incapable
of that
to
kind
compute
of
all of the variables at one time, the laziness of our minds, we just say it's chance. There's no such thing as chance. In reality, there's no such thing as chance.
I think there's also a debate where people would like to put forth, right? We talk about success, right? We talk about success. I mean, most people out there, they would deem success as a form of hard work. So if you don't put hard work, I mean, things will not come by chance, right? So they have this understanding of, okay, if I put this amount of hard work, I put this, and I give my objective of like 6 months or 1 year to achieve my goal, then I will achieve success wherever I have set forth, right?
Yeah.
So that is so-called a calculation of how they want to reach their objective. But most of them, they will say that it will not happen by chance. No one is successful by chance unless you win the lottery lah.
That one also no chance also. And it was determined by the ball who jump out, the guy who hold the hand.
Yeah, true. And some people even go to the extent to calculate, winning lottery is by chance. You know, like, you know, they will say, because you tried like 1,000 times, 100 times, and then suddenly you hit the jackpot. You know, some sort, even to that extent. I mean, maybe due to their ignorance, right? They will still want to hold to that matter where, okay, this is by chance.
The worst one I heard about lottery is this guy who say, ni rezeki dari Allah, bro.
Astaghfirullah. Is that by chance? Itu azab, bro. Itu azab, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I get what you mean. What do you think, Ustaz, about that? Like, you know, when people, like, you know, they I think what you're trying to say is that they think they make their, how to say,
argument lah.
They feel certain with their actions. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah,
like they believe that whatever they do must come out like that. Must happen like that. Is it?
There's two school of thoughts. One is like, okay, I rely totally on chance. Whatever I do, okay, cacak kuti lah, people like Melayu say lah, okay, hopefully it happen lah. But another group, they will say no, things doesn't happen by chance. I put my hard work. And I know I will achieve it because why? I put my hard work. So there's two school of thoughts where we want to talk about hukum adil, right? I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who make it happen. Be it the person who have it by chance, or be it the person who have it by working hard. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You see, on the aspect of a person, and he was saying that if I put any efforts, and I will get any certain results. And he himself, and he understand that things and he doesn't come by chance, in the sense that there must be certain causes, certain any
Inputs,
actions and that has to be done, certain any planning, and certain thing and it has to be done in order for him and to get any the conclusion. So that is any the thing and people are well aware of, and especially when it comes to money, people and will be thinking how they need to get money, how to do business, how to what are the things that we should work for, what are the things that we should avoid. So likewise, when it comes into the universe, and when you speak about the creation of the creation of the universe, and that this universe is in perfection, that this universe is functioning, what you call it, perfectly and so on. All these things, if you use the same analogy, we will say that this doesn't come any by chance. This doesn't come any by chance, but this comes any by proper planning, perfection, brought any from non-existence any to existence. So there is no room any for a person any to say that this universe any comes any by chance. It is any impossible.
Impossible, yeah.
It is impossible. And because any we can argue any about the perfection any of the universe, we can argue any about the contingency. The contingency any of the universe. So human beings any themselves any, as what you mentioned, when it comes any to their efforts, they know the value any of their efforts. That if they put any more efforts, any they will get more results. If they don't put any efforts, any they will not any get any result. Just like what we study any last time in school, teachers and will say that if you study hard, you will pass. But if you slack and you don't put in efforts any to memorize any, for example, any to practice any your maths, for example, any that you will fail. So people fail, and if they don't any put in any those efforts,
necessary efforts.
So basically, any human beings, no matter what they are, no matter what their level of understanding any is, they understand it at a certain extent the importance any of this connection.
Even babies, right? Like babies, like if you throw something behind the baby will turn. It's like it's innate in our being to know there is an originator coming from somewhere. Is that like like it's not like what it's like really is there already in our being.
There is this an example. There is this example. One any of the Western any writers, and he gave an example any of dogs. So what he did, and he has a group of dogs. So he put them in a big cage, and then every time when he wants to give food, he will ring a bell. Every time when he wants to give food, and he will ring a bell. So this goes on for 1 week, for 2 weeks, and then suddenly he stopped giving food, but he rang the bell. So the dogs, when they heard the ringing of the bell, straight away it comes into their mind presence of food. Presence of food. This is an example of hukm al-adi. That because of repetition, because of observation and constant observation, that food must be there. When I hear the bell, the food must be the food must be there. Just like putting in efforts also. If I put these efforts, the result must be there. So Islam is saying these are the means, that this is not something that is absolute. Everything depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can work for the means, but the efficacy comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whenever we speak about science, we have to understand that this
where you draw the line, was that?
This happenings in the universe, the formation of rain, for example, the creation of human beings in the wombs of the mother. All this happens by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It happens by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So creations themselves do not possess that efficacy. So it doesn't mean that you observe certain repetitions that happens in the universe. It does not mean that it is absolute. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created who created the means to function as such. And at the same time, Allah is the one who ordained that results.
I think first and foremost, for this podcast, a disclaimer, right? We are here not to challenge science in that manner. We are here to actually bring to give more enlightenment to this discussion between Islam and science, and how it's so relatable. Where science, the learning of science is very essential in Islam. So I just want to pose you a question, Ustaz. I think our scholars have this discussion or more further to the explanation of Big Bang theory. What is Islam perspective on the theory of this Big Bang?
In the Quran, Allah speaks about the creation of the creation of the universe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned kanata ghatqan, that this earth and the skies, it is a lump. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disperse it. Then it becomes the universe came into existence. So the Quran and it speaks about this phenomenon, about the creation of the universe. And then in the last century, people came with the theory of the Big Bang. So as far as we Muslims are concerned, there is no any issue with the Big Bang theory. The Quran and it speaks about such existence or such thing that happened in the beginning of the universe. So all this and it brings to the conclusion that this universe has a beginning. So when we speak about the Big Bang meaning, there is a beginning of this. There is a beginning of this universe. The details, the Quran and it speaks at a certain extent the details. Scientists today, for example, they speak on certain things. But what is important is that we understand that the universe is contingent. So even any science scientists themselves, they believe when they speak about the Big Bang. When they speak about the Big Bang, they believe that there is a beginning to the universe. So if you believe that there is a Big Bang and there is a beginning of the universe, it means that the universe is contingent. So if something is contingent is created, there must be a creator. So actually, the Big Bang theory is something that will make a person come to that conclusion that the existence of the creator. The one who brought the universe into existence. And then when we look at the universe, as what we mentioned, the universe is in perfection. The functioning of the universe. So this creator who created the universe must possess any power and knowledge. Because this universe is a manifestation of his power. And manifestation of his knowledge. That he created in this universe in its perfection. And he must have the will to bring this universe into existence. So all these attributes of God come into place. So Islam, when we speak about the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we also speak about the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is omnipotent, that Allah is all-willing, that He is all-knowing. How do we understand these attributes? By pondering upon the creations. So when we look at the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you understand that Allah is Hakim, that Allah is wise, that Allah has knowledge, that He created everything in proportion. So science is important in a sense, and it is something that helps us to understand the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is why Islam encourage any Muslims to learn science.
MashaAllah.
That's what you mentioned, and Islam is not against science. Some people thought like that. When we speak about empirical laws, we are not saying that when we say that it is not absolute, that it can change. But we are not against any science. We are saying that science is creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Things happen by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All these systems, for example, the formation of rain and so on, condensation, precipitation, evaporation, how does water evaporate? Allah is the one who is such. Allah is the one who gives the effect. So in the Islamic perspective, when we speak about science, we always have this connection with the creator. So we are saying that we human beings should not be only focusing on the causes and the means, but we forget the connection of the creator. So in the Quran, always many verses Allah speaks about science. Allah speaks about Himself, that He is the one who brought these things into existence, that He is the one who created this phenomenon and all these things.
MashaAllah.
And this is the thing about learning Aqidah, about understanding Hukm al-Adi. So we are saying that this thing is happening, but the efficacy belongs to
Allah
the efficacy belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah can change the characteristics of these things.
About Big Bang, right? I just want to have a discussion here with Mubarak.
Okay.
Big Bang. I know just now Ustaz has mentioned that our scholars also have their opinion on that part, and it's mentioned in the Quran on how the existence of this dunya has been laid out, right? So, what is coming from those scientists that is very pro on this theory of this Big Bang? I believe they come to a conclusion where they would say that, okay, we acknowledge that this theory exists, but they don't acknowledge on the existence of Allah SWT, on the existence of God itself, who create this part of that theory itself.
Yeah.
What is your point on that?
I think there's a lot of different theories that come along with the Big Bang theory lah. You know, there is this idea of multiverse. There's this idea of infinite regression. You know, a lot of things that they believe.
Very strong words,
Yeah. No, they really. I mean, what I realized the main point is they just don't want to
acknowledge.
say there's God. They will call it everything else.
So that means
You know?
they are very pro about this theory, but they don't want to mention that God is the one who put this theory in place.
Yeah. And then we go up to the say, oh, if God created this, then who created God? You know, this kind of ridiculous.
I see. So that's the argument, lah.
Yeah. But if you go really deep into it, if you really go deep into understanding the dispositions of the scientists, you realize that actually they really have very little to stand on, you know. And actually, the they themselves agree. Like at the end of the day, when we look at the scientific way, we do not. We like Ustaz was saying, we are not against science, but the philosophers of science, the people who
lay out
think
the
foundation about science, they themselves agree that they don't have the full answers. They themselves agree that, you know, there's a limitation to my. It's just a theory. You know, this is the maximum. You know, this is not fact. This is not 100% true. They all agree. You know, but when we learn in school, they teach us as this is fact. This is truth. This
knowledge.
Is unfathomable
Unprecedented
reality.
knowledge.
You know, but in reality, when you look at all the philosophers of science, they say no. You know, this are all theories and is possible to change, you know. So sometimes, you know, that like I was just thinking about it, like when I always hear people say the Quran has the answers of all answers, right? And then some scholars will say like the Quran is not a science book because science can change. You know, science, some of the theories will change over time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I remember reading one book, was that like this one guy, he's an anti-Islam guy lah. And so what he did was he wrote a book. And he wrote a book criticizing the Muslims. And he said, look at your scholars. They said that the earth was the sun revolved around the earth. And the earth was flat. You know? See, your scholars believe in that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then this scholar will try to prove it from the Quran that is true. That the earth is flat and then the earth revolves around the thing. So what I realize is that because science is always changing,
constantly changing.
When new information comes in, new perspective comes in, they are evolving thoughts. So the Quran gives the framework, like Ustaz said, it gives the framework of what is what is true,
how the universe operate lah.
And the most important part, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we need to realize that the purpose or who created this entire thing. The house might change, because the house, how it might change, but the intention, or not intention, the will to make it happen, that is constant.
But if things that is been mentioned in the Quran relating to science, I think it will never change, because the Quran itself the Quran itself is the kalam of Allah, right? I think it will never change.
Yeah, I understand.
I think what he meant is when we speak about empirical laws.
Yeah,
the Quran addresses any empirical laws that these laws and it can change. For example, Allah speaks any about fire. In Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Allah speaks any about do they not see how fire is fire burns? How we gave any benefit any to the we gave any fire as a benefit any to the travelers. And then the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and when he was thrown into the fire, Allah said, Kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. That fire that is known as an entity that burns, that produce any heat, suddenly change to become any coal. So the Quran speaks any about this reality that you have any fire, that by our definition that this is something any that burns, but the Quran is saying that what you thought, that what you perceive and based on your experience, that fire any is burned, it burns any by Allah. And if Allah wants any the same fire any will be coal. As how any fire any become coal any for Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. So the Quran basically is telling us that the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who specify the characteristic any of his creation. This is what Allah mentioned in the Quran. Lahul khalqu wal amr. Yani he is the one and who create, and he is the one and who gave the characteristic any of his creation. For example, water, we know any water, any for example, can quench any our thirst. Water also any can put off any a fire. Who is the one and who gave this characteristic? What is any how come any the characteristic any of quenching is present any in water? And how come any water any can put off any a fire? When you throw water into fire, it can any put off any the fire. So these are the characteristics of the fire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he created in this characteristic. So and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if he wants, he can change. So you can have any water but cannot quench. Possible or not possible? But science and will tell you, we see how we have to experiment first. You drink first. See you quench or not. So if you quench, okay, science and comes in and say, okay, it's because any of the properties in water and so on and so forth. But there is a possibility that despite any you have been drinking any water any for many years,
salt water was that doesn't quench. It makes you more thirsty.
If Allah wants, if Allah wants, any that can change. If Allah wants, any that can change. That is why when we speak any about miracles go against empirical laws.
Ustaz, last week you was mentioning there's more to hukum adi, right? What are those other things? Can you just refresh us? Like we were speaking about hukum adi, and then there's few other topics that you were also relating to hukum adi. The impossible of hukum adi.
Hukum adi basically is divided into three categories. We have the wajib adi, which is we said it is absolute, but it is absolute and it based on empirical.
This is what we've been discussing the whole time.
For example, we say water quench. Water quench. So this is absolute, but it's based on empirical. Meaning what? Meaning because it's based on repetition and experience, we know that water can quench. So we say this is wajib adi. This is absolute and it based on empirical. So when it comes into wajib adi, if you ask any the question, can water not quench? Yes, that is possible because this is hukmul adi. And then we have any mustahil adi. Mustahil adi is the impossible, but impossible and based on empirical. For example, we ask fire, can fire not burn? Can fire not burn? So we say that is impossible, but that is impossible and based on empirical because based on your senses and you have been, you know that fire burns and so on. So you say it is impossible and that fire does not burn, but it can change. So when it comes in hukum al-adi, it can change because it is based on your senses and it's based on repetitions. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change any those characteristics. What you perceive as wajib adi, it can be something that is mustahil adi. It can be mustahil adi. What is any mustahil adi? It can be jaiz. What you call it, something that is possible. We have the third one. The third one is jaiz al-adi. Ni is something that is any possible. So all these laws as what we mentioned, it is based on repetition and observation. So it can be impossible based on our observation because we have never seen. For example, if you ask the question, can a dead man be alive again? This is a question in Aqidah. We say, is it possible for a dead person to be alive again? When comes to hukmul adi, we say this is mustahil adi. Mustahil adi. Because we have never seen a person who has passed away came back to life by our senses. Have we seen, for example, a person has passed away, suddenly he became alive? We have never seen this. We know that every person that passed away will die.
But we'll never wake up.
But if a person, for example, after he passed away and then he became alive again, we say this is mustahil adi. Because based on our observation, we have never seen this. But this thing happened. So this go against hukumul adi. It go against the ruling of the empirical, the empirical rulings. So these are some of the things that our scholars speak about when it comes to hukumul adi. So we have the three. We have the wajib adi, mustahil adi, and jaiz adi. So most subjects in science like chemistry and biology, it is within this framework of hukumul adi. Because all these things, all these characteristics and that are created and by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within the creations are given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they function as what Allah wants them to function. And we are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use them. To use them. For example, if you are thirsty, drink water. If you are hungry, get some food. If you are sick and you go to the doctor, it is permissible for us and in Sharia for us to use the asbab.
Yes.
But what is important is not to be deluded by the asbab, not to think that the asbab has the efficacy. So this is the benefit of learning hukum al-adi. Because we understand that all these characteristics are creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have no efficacy, as what we mentioned many times. Efficacy comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are so many of the things that is within hukum al-adi, which is different than hukum al-aqli, which inshallah ta'ala we will cover after this.
Wow. MashaAllah. I think for this aspect, I want to have this discussion, Ustaz, if you allow me. I think it's very crucial where if a person would to relate a matter or a subject with these empirical laws, I think is very crucial for that particular matter to be related back to the Sharia. I mean, whatever empirical laws that you want to prove, it has to relate back to the Sharia, not by just one person own self, like you said, that his delusion, or he thinks that he's so clever, so intellect, and he can prove that, this is science. So I want to relate back to, this is just a question. Maybe we can open for discussion here. I want to relate back to human biology. We talk about human biology, Ustaz. For some people, they would say, okay, I'm born as a boy, but I have inclination to be a girl. That kind of biology that is happening in them. This is the real truth that is happening in our postmodern world, where people have this kind of inclination. So are they relating things to empirical laws, or are they just going against their own self by stating that?
You see this. This has to do with the Sharia. This has to do with Sharia. Why Sharia? Because the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the ones who that teaches us and tells us what is the right way and what is the wrong way. So for example, when we speak about adultery, we know that adultery is prohibited. How do you know adultery is prohibited? And because through revelation. The Quran speaks about the prohibition of adultery. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ speaks about the prohibition of adultery. For example, if a person say, I have inclination to do, na'udzubillah min zalik, to do this zina. I have this inclination. So straight away we say, then this inclination, it can originate from the desire, which calls towards doing something that is evil, and it can originate from the whispers of the devil. So how do we understand that? Because this is something that by the Sharia is prohibited. So before any human beings perform something that is prohibited, so it must come from their intentions first. Comes from their intention first. So since this intention is towards performing something that is prohibited, so either it is the result of their own desires, their evil desires, or the result of the whispers of the devil. So this is this knowledge is mentioned in books of tasawwuf, for example, books of Islamic and spirituality. Our scholars speaks about inclination. For example, like suddenly you have the inclination to perform prayers. Suddenly you feel that you want to perform any prayers. Now this is a good form inclination. How do you know it's good? Because according to the Sharia, that performance of the prayers is a virtuous act. So this inclination is an inclination that is virtuous. Likewise, when we speak about prohibition, the inclination and towards any doing things any that are prohibited, it comes any from the sources any that are within any the desires any of the human beings or the whispers any of the devil. So the sources any of inclination of human beings are divided any into 4 parts.
MashaAllah.
The sources any of the inclination of human beings is divided into 4 parts. Number 1, we have what is called as ilham. Ilham any is an inspiration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can inspire people. So when you feel any, for example, and suddenly any you have a strong inclination any to do a particular virtuous any act, that can be a form any of inspiration that comes any from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
But it must be virtuous, as that.
Yeah, it must be virtuous.
It must be. It cannot be treacherous kind of.
Cannot. We have always any have to use the Sharia any as our guideline.
Okay.
In order to ascertain whether this is virtuous or not virtuous.
Yeah.
If there's something that is virtuous and is something any that strong urge any that comes into a person, we know this is any ilham any that comes any from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing any what is called is lammatul malak. Lammatul malak any is inspiration any that comes any from the angels. Inspiration any that comes any from the angel. All this any mentioned in the Quran. For example, in the Quran, Allah said, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. That Allah, when He created human beings, and He gave any the human beings any inspiration. What is good and what is bad. So inspiration and it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Angels and He also inspire. What you call human beings, and we have many occasions in the Quran where Allah speaks any about angels inspiring any some servants any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there is a difference any between the inspiration that comes any from the angels and inspiration that comes any from Allah. The inspiration that comes any from angels any is touch based any inspiration. It is not something that is of a strong urge. So we have any these two when we speak about the virtuous inclination, and then we have another two, the opposite any of the virtuous any inclination towards any the prohibition. So it's either any comes any from the nafs. This is where Allah mentioned in the Quran, when Allah mentioned any about the human desires, and Allah said, "Inna nafsa la'ammaratun bisu." That the nature any of the human desire is that it is inclined towards things any that are prohibited. And then any we have any waswas any from shaitan, number 4. This is mentioned in Surah An-Nas, min sharril waswasil khannas, any the whispers any of the devil, because the devil any wants you to do the things any that are prohibited. So going back any to the question, any a person any has inclination any to inclination towards what you call it, the same sex any, for example.
Sexuality.
Yani he wants any to do any an act of sodomy any, for example, with the same sex. So now any we go back to the Sharia. What is any the ruling any based any on the Sharia? So we say this is prohibited. This is haram. This is worse any than zina. This is worse any than zina. So but he said, but I have any this inclination.
That's the thing.
And then he said this biology, meaning like it is something any that is prevalent in me when I was born, and meaning I got no choice that it is natural and all these things. No, and it is not any natural. It is that inclination any towards something any that is prohibited. So what any we are saying any that if a person any has any this inclination, he has to fight this inclination, and if he understand that it will lead any to things and that is haram. So just like any a person say I have inclination any to do zina. But he cannot be saying any, for example, but this is natural, from young, and I have I've been having any this inclination. We say that zina is haram, so you have to fight your desire, because the source any of this inclination any is your desire. The source of this inclination. So the problem any is your desire.
Just a quick question, Ustaz. When we relate back to inclination, right? Definitely, every inclination there's a beginning to it. When Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will not create a slave with evil inclination, or with inclination that will serve destruction to himself. Okay, Ustaz. I just gave example on the topic about smoking, because since we are talking about this topic, and we're talking about we relate back to this habit of smoking. A child will not inherit that habit since birth. It's impossible for a baby when they are born. They have inclination towards smoking. Definitely that inclination has a beginning in his or her life due to the factor of the negative environment that he's surrounded with, right?
Yeah.
So relating back to sexuality, I think is something that we can discuss here, Mubarak.
Yeah.
Relating back to sexuality, I think it's the same. A child will not have inclination at birth. Definitely that inclination has a beginning, be it 3 years old, 4 years old, or even 20 years old onwards, right? So can we open this for discussion?
I think I get what you're trying to say. Like society is the one who imprints this kind of attractions and stuff like that to the same sex. Is what you're trying to say?
The inclination. That's what we are talking about inclination, right?
Yeah. I know one thing I think I just want to say like I think as us as Muslims have no problems of loving the same sex. Like I love you, bro.
Okay.
Like we have no problem like loving in the same sex. But the only problem is
Syariat by the Syariat
is the lustful love.
Yeah.
That is the problem, you know. When you talk about this lustful, that is the only problem lah.
Love as brotherhood, I think that is permissible lah.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we hug and kiss each other also sometimes.
I mean,
sometimes people also see, what's that? These Muslim guys hugging and kissing each other.
That's the way of the Sahaba, yes, to show love, but not in the intimate, like like wife material lah. Not like wife material kind of.
So I get what you're trying to say. I get what you're trying to say. But yeah,
but
so you're trying to say like what we have today, the society. I mean, what we are seeing in the West, and I think definitely growing more in our society is that because of society, because of what they see, what they experience, they are getting this. They are imprinting this own idea of this
image
that they want to be more.
But the problem is not about whether they are inclined or not. The problem is they say this statement where
I'm born with it.
Yeah, I'm born with it. I mean if I'm born with it, that means God want me to live this path, to live this life.
Okay, wait.
Of having this personality of
So first we said that one is that people are not born with these desires.
No, the first argument is that definitely for every inclination, there will be a beginning to the inclination.
Okay,
right?
okay. So we're saying that this beginning is a lot of these people, human beings don't have this desire, or is there? But where did it came from?
You mean you're referring to the first argument, is it?
Yeah, for example, kan you cakap right, that human being, we don't have it came from somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely lah.
Right.
It has to be from environment, influence.
So before it came to the environment, there was a source. What was the source?
Nothing lah.
So, like out of nowhere. Like, where did that desire come from?
No, going back to the first argument, people who if people who have the inclination, definitely the inclination will have a beginning to it.
Correct.
But since birth, you are not born with the inclination.
Okay.
So there's nothing.
Okay.
So you have to grow up and witness the world with your own eyes, right? And maybe at a young age of being teenagers, you're curious about the world. So you start to understand the world. When you start to understand the world, you have inclination to certain influence. So that's where it's maybe for me, I think that's where it starts.
But where did that fella who you get influenced by got it from?
Which one? The origin.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, you're just.
Okay, now you say. Is it? Okay, now
it's getting interesting.
I'm a baby.
Bro.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm a baby. I now minus 31 years old. I'm still baby. Okay?
Yeah.
I grew up. I don't know anything about this
Sexuality.
Okay?
Yes.
So, but in me, naturally I'm a man lah, right? But empirically, men usually are with women lah.
Yes.
Empirically, men with women. Okay? So, but what you're saying is like at one age, at a certain time, I will be exposed to the idea of man and man in our time. Okay, so and then that's where I either agree with it or get influenced by it, or I say no.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But then where did that person who is influencing me to one man and man came from? You get me or not? Like where did that inclination came from in the first place?
Persuasion lah.
Yeah lah. How did that fella influence me? How did that fella? Who is it? A person? Is it an idea?
Yeah, it can be a influencer. It can be your peers.
Where did that guy got it from?
Internet.
Where did the
Social
internet got
media.
it from?
social media, we have mainstream media, we have mainstream. Okay, and then there is another group where they strongly believe that their inclination is by birth. So we have these two aspects where we can discuss here.
Yeah.
So we don't actually never go deviate so much.
No.
These two aspects that we can discuss here.
I get it, but I was trying to. I think what I was trying to come back to, right, was that there is a source of this intention. There is a source of this inclination. The inclination, you can get it from human beings, but what is the originator? Like what is the originator of this issue? Like we have it in the Quran, right? But
you see, we have to understand the nature of the nafs. The nature of the nafs. The Quran, and when it speaks about desires, human desires, what did the Quran say? The Quran is saying, "Inna nafsa la ammaratun bisu." The natural inclination of the human desires is towards evil.
So
this is a test from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
So what you say, we have the potential of evil, also.
Yeah.
Every human being has born with the potential to go towards evil.
If he obey his nafs, yani if he doesn't have any guidelines, if a person say that I'm going to do whatever my lust, or I'm going to do whatever
I want,
that will bring him into the destruction. Because the nature of the desire, it is inclined towards evil. How do we know this? The Quran. The Quran speaks about. That is why we are in need of tazkiyah. We are in need of purification. Purification of the nafs. That is why we have many verses in the Quran. Allah speaks about the importance to purify ourselves. To go against the desire. Wa nahan nafsa anil hawa. This is what Allah said in the Quran. Wa nahan nafsa anil hawa. You have to go against. Because if you don't go against and you follow your desire, it will bring you into destruction. So when we understand the nature of our nafs is towards any inclination towards any evil, then we should be careful of our nafs. Do not obey all the inclinations of our nafs. But how do we know what inclination is good and what inclination is bad? This is based on the Sharia. So for example, if a person, he makes any with friends and so on, he has the inclination to drink liquor. He saw his friends, everybody, he's in an environment where everybody drinks liquor. So he also wants to drink any liquor. So how does he know that this act of drinking liquor is something that is prohibited, not prohibited? It goes back into the Sharia. So now the Sharia is telling him that this is prohibited, you should not drink. But again, it goes back into that person, whether you want to do it
or not,
or you do not want to do it. Whether you want to follow your desires, or you want to go against any of your desires. If you follow any of your desire, then you are falling into sin. So likewise, when you speak, when you mention for example, that a child he has no sin when he was born, yes, of course, a child he has no sin, that he is born in a situation where he is pure, correct or not? But you see, when does the reckoning of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala comes into human beings? It is not at the point of childhood, but it is after puberty. It is after any puberty. So when a child reaches any puberty, now his actions is being held accountable. So his actions will be held accountable. Then his any inclination of desire has to be controlled. So he has to study, for example, the laws of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and to perform his obligations and to refrain from his prohibitions. And the fact that human beings are easily influenced by the friends, easily influenced by the environment. So we have to understand this nature of the nafs. So when you speak about the beginning, right? When you speak about the beginning of having certain inclination, this inclination, again, if it is something that is inclination towards something that is prohibited, its source is from the nafs itself. Its source comes from the nafs itself. So
it can be fired up by the shaitan also, is that?
There is a difference between nafs and shaitan. There is a difference between nafs and shaitan. What is the difference? The difference is obvious. Nafs is something that is embedded in you. Whereas the devil is something that is outer.
Yeah.
So the devil comes and whisper. The devil cannot force you to do a particular sin. He has no power over you.
Yeah.
But what he does is yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas. He whispers. He whispers and he tries to influence you by your thoughts.
Yeah.
So he plays with your thoughts. This is the trick of the devil. But at the end of the day, you are the one who make the decision whether to do or not to do.
Yeah.
And the nature of the nafs is that it is pressing. It is pressing. And the influence of the nafs is far much greater than the influence of shaitan. The influence of the nafs is far much greater than the influence of shaitan. And if a person does not do anything to the nafs, then the nafs will be inclined into evil things.
I see.
Yeah.
The thing is that
I think right, the main issue here, right, for these people, for whoever who believes that this natural, and then they claim that they have the right to do it. It's not a matter of whether it's a matter of belief in God. If you ask me, it's that they don't want to accept there is something that can there is some whatever there's something someone whatever that can tell them what's right and wrong.
They are trying to justify their sin.
Yeah, exactly.
They are saying that I'm helpless. You know, this is not within my capacity.
Yeah.
But before we go,
but I'm born with it and all these things.
Yeah.
This is what you call it. This is trying to run away from
the reality.
The prohibitions. Because once you say that you are forced to do something, that you got no choice, and that is something that is in you, and you cannot do anything about it. So you are trying to say that this particular action I cannot be held accountable because it is my fault.
Yeah.
But it is my maker's fault, because he created me in such a way. And this is the deception of shaitan.
Yeah.
Because the work of shaitan is to make something that is haram as halal. He's trying to justify. Trying to justify the sins. So this is the thing that is happening now. This is the thing that is happening. So that is why it is important for us to address this issue and to say that it is not any what you are trying to lie about it, about your evil and inclinations that you are inclined to do this sin. It is a problem of your nafs that you have to purify it. You have to go against it. If a person say that I have any inclination with the same sex, this is the problem of the nafs. So we are saying that you have to fight that inclination, not to say that I got no choice and all these things. So Muslims have to understand that every inclination that leads towards any prohibition, it has to be fought. We cannot be saying that it's okay for you to have that inclination. No, it's not okay. And if a person says that I have inclination to steal,
or inclination to my own mother, for example, it's the same thing.
So we cannot be saying that it's okay for you to have an inclination. The fault in some Muslims fell into is to agree with the premise that it is okay to have that inclination, because some people they force to have such inclination by their circumstances in life and so on and so forth. So we say it is not okay.
Correct.
It is not okay to have that inclination, because this inclination will lead you into destruction. So you have to treat the problem from the source.
Yes.
What is the source? Your nafs.
Yes. The thing is that the reason why I bring up about this topic about sexuality, because there are individuals today where they relate this sexuality to empirical laws, where they say that naturally I'm born this way, so that's why I have this inclination. Yeah, no doubt. If I'm born as a man, I'm supposed to get married with a woman. That's the normal hukum adi that we see in life itself. But the thing is, they would say, we can change it, right? We can change it because why? This inclination is by birth, right? I have inclination by since birth, that I'm inclined to the same sex.
I think they are wrong. You know why? You know why they're wrong?
It's not.
If that is true, the whole world we got no more people.
Understand? But it's not. It's not about just whether they are wrong. Is that the problem here is they are using the empirical laws to back them.
They are not using empirical laws.
To back them.
I do not know. I do not know whether they are using any of the empirical laws in the first place. Whether they speak about any empirical laws. But if they do any, for example,
But they talk about human biology, Ustaz.
Yeah.
They go to the extent where biologically I'm inclined to this same sex. Man, no doubt a person would be born with that particular, I would say, a gender, right? Be it muzakkar or muannas, right? So definitely they are born with that kind of gender, but they claim biologically, right? By science, I have this inclination. So there are these people who advocates, going around and advocate on this ideology, Ustaz. I think that it's a troubling time also, where we have to address this issue.
Yeah, that's why human beings any are in need any of revelation, any otherwise any human being any has his own any theory or has his own any thoughts.
Yes.
Even when it comes into good and bad, and if a person doesn't have any faith, something any that is bad and it can be perceived any as good, and even any they can change any realities. There are people, and for example, they are men, but they say that no, I'm a woman, but to me I'm a woman, but to you, I'm a man. So they have any this what they call it, understanding any of that reality any is relative any to an individual, and this is dangerous any inegality. This is dangerous, and you are changing any realities. You are, and all this any based any on your own any opinion. I think any I am, so I am. So it's just any based any on their thoughts. So the thing any this is any falsehood. Trying any to justify any certain things any as truth any to suit any their own desires.
It's very very similar to what you said. Is there's one guy your age, for example, I'm 31 example. And I identify as 75. Can I do that? No. Can I do that? Does it make sense if I tell someone I identify as 75?
Okay, what's his core? What is core belief?
I believe I'm 75. Therefore, I'm 75.
But your by status on your ID will be?
No, I'm saying, does that make sense? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
right?
But by your status on your ID is 31.
Doesn't matter. I identify as 75 means
that's the thing. They are going against any realities. This is superstar E.
I see.
In Aqidah, we call it superstar E.
Oh, there is such,
There is.
Wow.
They don't say age, they will say sexuality.
Superstar E, they reject any realities. So this is another thing.
Yeah, there will be discussed on
this is against empirical laws. This is against any empirical law. At least empirical laws, and we are saying, for example, what you call it, water can quench any thirst. But now, if a person says that, but this is not water, say what? This is water.
This is Milo ice.
So this is against the empirical laws. They are not any using any empirical laws.
And this is very dangerous, because that means if a person believes like that, you cannot trust anything he says. Like
there's no reality.
There's no truth.
There is no truth. There is no reality. Everything is relative. You can do whatever you want, and you can.
That person never put boundaries on himself.
This is the worst any situation that human beings can come to.
How to talk to this guy? How to talk to this person or this woman?
Sense,
how to you talk
there is no way.
No way, because nothing like bro, this is coffee. No, this is Milo ice. How to talk? Oh my God, Allah save us from that.
That is why Al-Imam Nasafi in Aqaid Nasafiyah, the first thing he speaks about this. He said that
sources of knowledge is that
for us to come to common grounds. That you cannot argue with a superstar. Because superstar reject realities. So you cannot have common grounds with him. But if he's not a superstar, yes, okay,
Let's have a discussion.
We can speak about contingency argument. We can speak about the universe. We can speak about Big Bang. We can speak about
string
the existence of God and so on and so forth. But if a person says, but I don't know whether I'm in existence or not in existence, how do you want to speak to this person?
Exactly.
So it is impossible. It is impossible. And if you speak about the existence of the universe, he will say you about how you know the universe is in existence.
The only way for them to know us is in pleasure or pain.
This is what Imam Taftazani, Al-Imam Taftazani, and he said that the way I need to teach is to put fire.
Yeah.
Let them burn their hands a bit lah. Then they know whether they're real or not.
So the issue yani, of what then you were saying when a person the issue of
Inclination.
sexuality, the inclination of inclination, this can fall into safsata. Safsata yani meaning they reject any realities.
Yeah.
That I'm not a man. Then a person and he says he's a man, but he says I'm not any a man. I am any something else. So this just any based any on his what any he thinks, what is related any to him.
Yeah.
So this is going against any reality. You have to understand. So
Yeah.
we are not speaking about empirical laws.
Yeah.
But the worst, the worst, Ustaz, they blame it on God. They blame it on God that say that, oh, by birth I have this inclination. That's their argument lah.
Yeah, like what I said, and they are trying to justify. They are trying to justify their act. But sadly, some Muslims fall into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, we have any Muslims, for example, says that but we have to show love and what to do.
Yeah.
They are like that and so on. You see, you fall into
That trap.
you fall into the trap.
What? Okay, let's put it clear on the table so people don't misunderstand what you're saying.
Our podcast lah.
Yeah. So we say if someone has this inclination, we don't reject them, sir. Do we reject them?
Dawah,
Say,
no, dawah. You see,
Yeah.
Nabi Lut alayhi salam.
Yeah.
You see, the issue of LGBT and is not new.
Yeah.
The Quran speaks about homosexuals.
Yes.
In many verses, not 1, 2 verses, many verses. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I think about maybe 13, 14 or 15 any verses. Allah speaks about Nabi Lut alayhi salam. So Nabi Lut alayhi salam, he was sent to a people who are homosexuals.
Yeah.
So what do? He do da'wah to them. Yani he did not straight away say, oh Allah, yani bring your adab to them. But he approached them and said, leave what you are doing.
Yes.
So they are women that you can marry. So why are you what you call it?
Still inclined to.
Why are you still inclined into the men? So Nabi Lut alayhi salam is trying to tell them the truth that what you are doing is munkar. What you are doing is a sin. This is our duty.
Yes.
So we cannot be saying something is haram is halal. So what is haram is haram.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if this practice in your homosexuality and sodomy and so on and so forth, this is haram. We cannot say any this is halal. We cannot be saying that having inclination is okay. No, this is one of the biggest mistake that I have ever heard.
Yeah.
Because some people make
Such claim.
This statement, and sadly they are what you call it people who like preach the religion or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is very dangerous. This is very dangerous because once you do that, you are making it haram is halal.
Yeah.
And you are supporting indirectly to these people who they themselves are confused actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are Muslims and for example, they are confused.
Yes.
They have any disinclination and they saw some people saying that actually it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're saying that, okay, I have any disinclination, so it's okay for me to be gay. Some people are saying, and nowadays, for example, you can have that inclination as though you don't do it. So now any people are saying that, okay, I can become gay, but as long as I don't do any hanky-panky, but it's okay. Is this any what? And we should address any this issue? No, we should make dawah. We're saying it is this act and is haram, this inclination, and you have to fight your desires.
Yes.
You have to fight any your desires. Pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. This how we have to make da'wah and we have to educate.
But on the personal level, as a human on a one-to-one level like this, we don't
Scrutinize them lah.
don't expel them, kick them out,
Yeah,
or hate them or something like that. Ustaz. Like we try our best to talk to them, speak to them, treat them human beings lah. You know, they are human beings. No matter they of course they have wrong inclinations. Just like there's many people who do wrong things, but we have no revenge or vengefulness against them at all.
Yeah.
Instead we are, just to make it clear, because maybe
We hate the sin, but we care for the sinner.
Yeah.
So we must always also bear in mind how to save them.
Yeah.
There are people for example out there they are in this dilemma and they are in need of help. So we have to offer help. We cannot just be condemning any people for example, and then we also do not know what to do in a sense.
I mean, the most important part for them, these people also to realize, whatever your inclinations, like every human being has their secret or challenge that they are facing,
dark side.
and everyone is facing themselves,
I think like inclination, as a whole, Ustaz, I think it's like it's just like an addiction. Like when if like a person who are addict to alcohol, right? I mean, the inclination has started somewhere in his life, and it become an addiction. It become his way of life, and it can be treated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be treated. I think I think the same way as how we're going to approach this LGBT. It's the same approach. It can be attended to. It can be treated in a very harmonious way.
Yeah. That's the most important part lah.
So I think our episode have encompassed a lot of issues.
You went to science and you went to ethics. Thank you, Indra.
Inspiration. Maybe it's an inspiration, huh?
But next, I think our next thing, Ustaz, are we gonna talk about hukum akal?
Yeah, hukum akal.
Oh,
Also,
rational laws.
Yeah, I think we're going to rational laws. I think is more wide in that aspect of topic. Inshallah.
Okay, it's time for mind-boggling session next next week. Yeah.
So thank you, Ustaz,
Thank you, Ustaz.
for coming down and
It's always a
guide
pleasure.
us
Always a
and,
pleasure.
Share great values on this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ustaz.
Jazakumullah khair.
Alhamdulillah wa shukran.
Thank you very much.
And for those who are listening and also viewing, please do like and share this podcast. And we hope to see you guys. Right.
And if you have any questions, don't forget.
Yeah, please post your question on our Facebook on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and you can DM us on our social media platform.
Yeah,
Inshallah.
Get us some coffee.
Yeah.
Dah habis dah.
You all can buy us coffee. By the way, just a shout out again. You all can, if you all appreciate our content, please do buy us a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/snmtv. So with that, signing off from Coffee Ustaz, I'm your host Indra Sahip.
I'm Mubarak Shah.
See you all soon. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.